Being stranded in an unknown location with barely any means of survival doesn't sound very attractive for many, yet this lifestyle is chosen by a couple of special people such as Les Stroud. Famous for his TV show Survivorman and some others, Les is one kind of a man whose main enjoyment in life is challenging himself by surviving in wild and unwelcoming natural environments for extended periods. While Les Stroud's danger-seeking escapades amazed the entire world for over a decade, his show Survivorman ultimately came to an end in 2016, leaving many of us wondering what his next adventure would be, but receiving not many answers in return. So what happened to Les Stroud? What did he do after the end of Survivorman? Has he retired from TV or have any other further projects? Stay here to know all about the whereabouts of the controversial but undoubtedly fearless Survivorman. Whether you know him as Survivorman or as Les Stroud, there's no doubt that the man has left a mark on TV for his uncanny ability of surviving in the wild and getting out alive from some of the most difficult situations one could ever see themselves involved in. As expected, such a legendary man wouldn't just leave his craft to fade away, not even after his internationally famous show Survivorman came to its end. Nowadays, Les is pretty much focused on the release of his most recent children's book, Wild Outside, his video game Survivorman VR The Descent, and contributing to the research book The Bigfoot Influencers. Despite his love for nature and the outdoors, Lee is also quite active on social media. His Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages are often updated and have collectively amassed over 200,000 followers. Music has also been going well for Les, who recently released the album Mother Earth, has seen him perform his music on stages in Canada and the US during 2022. Some of Les's other projects worth mentioning are the release of his DVD collection, Les Stroud Films, in commemoration of his 20th career anniversary, on top of starting his online shop Survivorman, which offers his most dedicated fans a wide variety of his merchandise, crafted knives, books, and other of his works for sale. All in all, Les Stroud is as active as ever. While Les is mostly known for his career on TV and as a musician and writer, some of his recent projects are quite different from what he's done before. Firstly, his project Survivorman VR The Descent, set for release in early 2023, is a video game project based on his adventures in the wild, offering users a realistic experience on what it's like to explore a dangerous snow-covered mountain scenario, with Les at their side, using virtual reality technology. Regarding the project's origins, Les said that he'd had the idea of creating a virtual reality work based on Survivorman for quite some time, but the definitive project was prompted by his filmmaker and producer friend Dave Brady. I'd been approached several times up to that point, but this was a chance to work with Dave and the wonderful team he'd built up at Cream Productions, he said in an interview with producer Irene Vandertop from said company. Les also collaborated on the book The Bigfoot Influencers, written by Tim Halloran and released in late 2022. Along with researchers, historians, and reporters, Les is interviewed by Halloran to provide context to the culture of the Sasquatch, and not about the creature said to be Bigfoot, as Les affirmed on his social media. Surely this is only the start of many exciting and diverse projects which most likely will come Les's way. For a man so inclined to traveling and exploring what nature has to offer, it's often assumed Les Stroud could have moved out of Canada, yet that's not exactly the case. As he revealed in an interview with CBC Radio in 2021, Les plans on staying in his native Ontario for many years to come. I've seen some of the most beautiful places on this planet, but in the end, you can't convince me that there's anything more beautiful than Muskoka, he said, in reference to his current hometown in central Ontario. Regarding his favorite things away from home, Les is evidently enchanted by cold weather, in autumn or even in winter. Nonetheless, despite loving his home country the most, at the end of the day, Lee sees the entire world as a vast ground to explore, and particularly favors the journey of the soul, as he defines it. It's because a lot of other journey requires logistics, nothing more. But the journeys of love and the soul and the mind require a larger existential perspective, he explained. While it's unlikely that Les will ever leave home for an indefinite time, It's for sure that his love for adventure and the exploration of remote places all around the world isn't over. So who is Les Stroud? A native of Mimico in Toronto, Canada, Les has always done things his own way. His creativity and love of music led him to the Ontario-based Fanshawe College, where he briefly studied music industry arts before moving to Toronto to pursue a career as a singer and songwriter. It was during this period that he signed his first music contracts, and also had his first experiences in the film industry, moving on from being an unknown assistant to taking part in the cinematic processes for a music TV channel. While his love for music wasn't diminished, by 1987, Les wanted a change of air, so to speak. Packing his bags, he became a canoe guide and traveled Canada for around 7 years, even starting his own company, Wilderness Voice. During those adventure-filled years, Les met and subsequently married the photographer Sue Jameson, with whom he spent an entire year living in the solitude of Ontario's boreal forests as part of their prolonged honeymoon. That period was quite formative for Les, as living in the wilderness with little to no contact with civilization led him to develop the many survival skills we have come to know him for. Following their honeymoon, Les and Sue briefly lived in Yellowknife and Muskoka, yet the adventures weren't over. Although Les had his first experience in the entertainment industry while producing music videos in the 1980s, his first filmmaking projects didn't come until years later. Despite staying away from any modern appliances during his honeymoon, Les and his wife Sue kept the now discontinued 8mm tape camera to film elements of their year-long adventure, regardless of catching some crucial moments of their time there, such as health emergencies which at times took them away from the forest. Not everyone found Les and Sue's story that appealing after they returned to their normal life in 1995. Some time passed until, by a stroke of luck, an old friend of Les called Tony Armstrong from the Cottage Life television saw the potential in the project. The footage of Les and Sue's adventure ultimately became the documentary Snowshoes and Solitude, which was not only awarded at Water Walker Film Festival upon its 2000 release, but also gave Les the perfect opportunity to improve his filmmaking and editing abilities as the footage was processed by him. As the documentary took shape, Les also returned to his old music ways and won several categories at the Spirit of the North in Ontario, releasing his first musical feature in a single entitled Spirit. Given the success of his documentary Snowshoes and Solitude, Les Stroud gained a place in the filmmaking industry and created other shows following the same line of content. These specials were entitled 1 Week in the Wilderness and its follow-up, Winter in the Wilderness, both of which were later rebranded as a 2-hour-long special entitled Stranded, aired by Discovery Canada. Due to the similarity of concepts, these specials are nowadays known as Survivorman predecessors. Though the show premiered in 2005, a year later, the documentary movie entitled Off the Grid with Les Stroud was released and featured Les, his wife Sue, and children, as they build a home following the off-the-grid techniques learned through the years of recycled materials. Boy, is it fun. Making something from the beginning to end is a beautiful thing, Les told The Star back in the day. Besides his original TV projects, Les has featured in several shows such as Surviving Urban Disasters and hosted the kid-centered Cartoon Network's Survive This and Survive This 2 in 2010. There's nothing stronger than the will to live differently, especially if that kind of mindset is ingrained in someone's mind from an early age. Regardless that most people regard survivalism, more than strange, as a permanent lifestyle. While that need to be closer to nature and living the life he wanted was surely a big motivator into shaping the person that Les Stroud is, he never imagined that he would become famous and respected for just doing what he loves. As he admitted in an interview with The Manual in 2021, when he filmed Snowshoes and Solitude, he didn't have any expectations of appearing on TV as a survivalist. I didn't see that at all. I just wanted to get out of poverty. I wanted to make films about my adventures and to share what I loved. Nonetheless, he added that the road wasn't easy, especially considering the many rejections he faced. Although Les Stroud certainly isn't the only survivalist who's achieved worldwide fame through TV, he was certainly one of the first and most innovative to do so. The secret of Les's success could be attributed to his direct and educational approach. For me, the entertainment and the drama is intrinsic within the scope of what I was filming with the purpose to educate, he said in the same interview. Given how many adventures and near-death experiences Les has faced, it's not really surprising that his creative ways have also extended to the writing field. His debut work entitled Will to Live was released in 2010, followed by Survive 2 years later. Both books gained Les nominations for awards such as the Canadian National Magazine and White Pine, along with winning the Canadian Screen Awards 2013 and 2015 editions in the non-fiction category. Other of Les's acclaimed titles include Survive, the Ultimate Edition, and Beyond Survivorman. His most recent book, Wild Outside, was published in 2021 and takes a different approach compared to his previous books, by focusing on children and teens as a sort of homage to the support Les has received from these groups. It was really a natural progression and was just a great chance to purposely direct all that I do towards younger people, he told the manual. Besides his books, the comic series The Horn of Providence was released in 2013 and tells the story of Les Stroud-inspired fictional character Survivorman, who battles nature and all kind of difficulties in order to recover a stolen artifact. There's no doubt that Survivorman was the project which brought Les Stroud international fame as both a nature educator and survivalist. The end of the show in 2016 didn't mean the end of Les's career, which is evident by seeing how many projects he's been involved with since then. He's been featured in several documentaries such as Shark Week and Missing 411. He's also produced and hosted Alaska's Grizzly Gauntlet, the short-lived Fighting to Survive, the TV movie Surviving Disasters with Les Stroud, and the 2020 released Wild Harvest, which follows Les and Paul Rogalski as they explore some of the most well-kept secrets about culinary tourism and food harvesting in the Canadian forests. As confirmed by Les, the idea of Wild Harvest was raised in the early 2010s by Rogalski, with whom he'd been friends with for some time, yet never got around to developing a project together until meeting again accidentally. This time we put a little motivation and a little more creative thought behind it, and that's how it came about, he told MASH.com. All in all, Les Stroud has evidently been busy since Survivorman ended in 2016, though it's for sure that many people would love to see his wild adventures on screen again. He's certainly doing well with his other varied projects. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.